Hey, y'all. Welcome to another live stream. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope that you guys are having a blessed week. I am just going to check on my phone to make sure that I am live and that everything is good to go. Let's see. Let's just double check. All right, sweet. All right, y'all. I'm excited for today's live because I am going to be answering a question that you guys asked. So, several of you guys have DM'd me and also put this in the threads, or you answered this question when you came into the group. So I want to make sure that really wanted to make sure I got this answer into you guys quickly, like this week, because we're going to be talking about confidence. And you guys know I always say confidence is a muscle that you build, right? Courage is what you need to take the first step, but confidence is a muscle as you build, as you're walking. So what are the specific things we can do as we're walking in our purpose in coaching and mentoring others? Like, how can we get confident in the transformation that we can help others achieve? And so we are going to be talking about that. Let me just put a title on this post. How to become confident how can I become confident as a coach? All right, so we should be good to go. All right, y'all. So before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for inviting your friends to join us inside of the collective. I welcome any and everyone. Just a couple of things. Just make sure of a couple of things before you invite people. Number one, make sure that these individuals are coaches or aspiring coaches. This group is, we talk about like productivity, but I have another Facebook group if people just want to learn how to get productive and overcome their procrastination, because that is one of my specialties. But this group is how to apply all of that to coaching so that we can start profitable coaching businesses. So make sure that they're coaches and aspiring coaches, and also let them know that you are adding them. That way they can answer the intake questions. It actually may be better for you, rather than you just hitting invite, you should copy the link, and I'll do a post with the link. It may be better for you guys to just DM them the link. That way they can click, right? First of all, they can check out the group and see if it's something that they want to be a part of. Then when they click it, they'll get the questions, and then that won't delay them getting into the group, because I want to make sure that everyone gets in and gets this goodness, but I also want to make sure that people are coming in the right way and answering those intake questions. Welcome to all of our new members. A lot of you guys have come over from listening to the podcast, so I have been repurposing these live streams into podcasts because I wanted to make sure that a lot of this information gets out to my community in general. So welcome to all our new members. Definitely go to the intro thread and introduce yourself. Let us know what type of coach you are or aspire to be, and what specific questions you have. As you guys see, I am really here to serve you guys, to show you guys that you can do this too, that this is available to you, that you guys can show up in excellence as a brand new coach and lead people to a transformation. This does not have to be something that's only for, I've been in the game 10 years or 15 years. Like, we all have to start somewhere. It has always been placed on my heart. Like, this is what God has asked me to do to help get people in motion. And that's because I spent so many years stuck, right? So we've talked about this. If you listen to the podcast, or even if you've been in my community for any period of time, that if you would have told me that I would be a coach who has, you know, is charging, I mean, I'm a physician, right? So if you told me I'll be a coach, a business coach who is charging, you know, 4 figures for a coaching offer and it has made like 5 figures on a launch, like I'd be like, really, in what world? Like if you would have told me that 3 years ago, right? But that's where I am now. And it's not because we talked about this last week with special unicorn syndrome. It's not because I'm like special or there's anything like particularly great about me. Now, I believe I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm not putting myself down by saying that. But what I'm saying is this is available to you as well. Like when you look at, you know, famous people or coaches who are excelling, always do it from a place of abundance and say, wow, that means if they are doing so great in their field, that's available to me too. I can do that. And so rather than just like giving you that like motivation, like, yeah, girl, you can do this, I figured I would give you actual actionable strategies to get you there. So let's hop into it. So, first of all, like I said, courage is different from confidence. Confidence is a muscle that you build. So when we talked about it in the world of like becoming productive and overcoming your procrastination, I would tell you that you have to take those messy first steps. And for many of us, it's like waking up in the morning when we say we're going to wake up, doing our morning routines, having that gratitude time, just like small steps. And the same is true in this situation. We need courage to take those small steps. But then when you think about how am I going to show up confidently, because you do have to have a sense of confidence in order to show up as a coach, especially in the beginning. You do have to be confident. You have to be confident when you're on your sales calls. You have to be confident when you're posting on social media or doing your marketing. And you have to be confident when you're showing up in a coaching session. So imagine that you're a tennis player and you have a coach that's working with you to do, you know, practice your serves and your like all the tennis moves that I'm not familiar with. Imagine you have a coach that's helping you with that, but that coach is like, oh, you know, I'm not sure, or, you know, I don't really know. Or if you are a tennis player who's trying to be pro and trying to like, you know, win the Olympics or win the, what's it called? What's the tennis? Wimbledon. I don't know why I blinked on that. If you're trying to win like Wimbledon or something, right? And you're looking for a coach and your coach does not come to you and say, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can get you to Wimbledon if you follow my coaching methodology. Like that's what you want, right? Like that's the kind of confidence that you want your coach to show up with. But for many of us in the beginning, it's hard for us to see ourselves getting to that point because we've never done it before. But here's the thing. Every single coach had to start somewhere. Every single coach. All the coaches that you see out there like doing all the things, right? They all had to start somewhere. And so I believe my purpose is helping you get to that somewhere, right? Of like, we all had to start somewhere. We do. And that is okay. But there are some specific things that you can do so that you start to build that confidence muscle. So to be able to confidently not just charge what the value of your transformation is, but also to show up in confidence on a sales conversation, right? Because selling is serving. Is that a whole live stream that I need to do? how selling is serving? Let me write that down because I truly believe that. I truly believe that selling is serving. Wait, let me write that down. Selling is serving. Selling is serving. And so you have to be like, in order to make that exchange, right? That energy transfer of I'm giving you my services and you are investing money, you have to be very confident that the transformation that you can provide is going to be what can get that person from point A to point B. And so, how do you build that confidence? How do you build it? I will walk you through what I have done in the past year and a half, but like really accelerated in the past year to get to the point that now I am confident. When I get on my calls now, or when I sell in the DMs, I am certain. I am certain that the people I sell to, I am certain that I can help them. So I want you to come back to that, right? The people I sell to, because I do not sell my coaching services to everyone, because not everyone is at the point A, or can I necessarily get them to that point B. Now, that's nothing against them. I'm sure they're lovely people, but, and so I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but let's just like stick a pin in that. I'm going to make a note of that so that I don't forget to talk about that. Okay, so the first step to gaining that confidence to be able to sell is to understand the transformation that you can provide. Like, not just understand it, but be crystal clear on what that transformation is. Now, when I started my coaching, I was very clear that I can help you get unstuck, stop procrastinating, and start your business, right? Because that's what I had done. And where this came from for me was, number one, I had worked through this process for myself and it was working in my personal life. So here's the thing. You are your biggest case study in the beginning, because if you have never necessarily coached before, that doesn't mean that you have never achieved the transformation before. Like, I'm certain that the transformation you're hoping to provide is one that you have achieved for yourself, and that is okay. Again, we all start somewhere. So now, yes, I have my testimonials and I have people that vouch for my services and talk about how great they are. But in the beginning, it was me vouching for myself, because I had achieved that A to B transformation for myself. So when we think about transformation, we're thinking about taking someone from their point A to a point B. And it has to be very specific. It has to be a very specific transformation. Now, if you've achieved that transformation for yourself, if you've achieved, oh, I see your heart. Someone's here. Hey. Welcome. Let me know who's here. Sometimes I can't see the comments. Oh, hey, Tracy girl. Thanks for joining. If you have achieved that transformation for yourself, then are you not then in a position to help someone else? I would say yes. And so what some people do because they lack the confidence and they don't sort of understand how to get it, they'll fill that in with like trying to get like all these certifications. And this is something that I think Black women do like a lot. Like, we're like, I think the stats say we're like the most educated group in America. And a lot of that is us like trying to fill in like our like self-perceived deficits, right? So we're going to get this certification and that certification, and we're not going to start the coaching process until we are certified, and that until someone else knights us and says, yes, you're able to do this. But I want to submit to you that if you've achieved the transformation for yourself first, and you can document, like, and say, first you do this, and then you do that, and then you do that to get that person from the point A to the point B, then that's really what you need. And that's all that you need. And I think also what I have seen in my friends who are coaches as well, or like starting their coaching, is that sometimes we want to start off like really broad and really general because it feels scary to kind of niche down. And I was totally guilty of that. So the very first person I ever coached, this was before I started my business. The very first person I ever coached, I coached her for completely free, which I teach my students not to do, right? Don't do what I did, right? So, but I coached her completely free. And she was a student. She was a student who was getting like a professional degree, and she wanted to be be a blogger, or I think she wanted to be a blogger and have like a blog, and then like eventually do other things when she got out of school. And she was a procrastinator, right? So I definitely knew I could help her with the procrastination part. But then I was also like, oh yeah, blogger, sure, like I can help with that. But I had a blog, but I didn't actually like continue with it, and I couldn't tell you how to achieve the transformation of like procrastinator to like blogger who is making money. I didn't know that transformation, right? But I was like, oh yes, I can do this. And I really kind of couldn't. Now I could help her with the procrastination. I just realized my earring is off. That's not cute. Anyway, perfection is not required, right? So I could help her with the procrastination part, but this other part was like really fuzzy to me. And so did I show up like in confidence? No. And that's probably why I offered to do it for free, right? So I ended up undervaluing the transformation I could actually provide, right? The transformation I could actually provide. I didn't offer that. And then I undervalued myself for another transformation that didn't really feel confident in. And because she was not paying anything, there was no skin in the game for her. So I want you to guess what happened. She stopped coming to our coaching sessions. And number one, I don't blame her. Although there was some good stuff. There was some good stuff about procrastination, right? But in terms of like, she had no skin in the game. None. Right? And Patrice Washington, I say this all the time. Patrice Washington, says there is no transformation without transaction. And so how could she actually transform? Right? Like, and in fact, I was actually doing her a disservice by offering it for free because there's no transformation without transaction. And so she stopped coming. I would reach out to her. I would text her, hey, do you want to meet? And it just like never worked out. And what I'm thankful for is that I didn't just stop there and say, oh, well, this coaching thing, I guess it's just not for me. That's not what I did. I learned from that and pivoted, right? Got super clear on the type of transformation I could provide, number one, and who I could provide that transformation for. And we'll come back to that in just a second. Who I could provide that transformation for, and now I can show up confidently, because the coaching I do in the two ways that I coach, right? So I do my like productivity coaching, I do that through my membership, and then I do my coaches coaching, right, through Purpose to Profit. I am really clear on the exact transformation I can provide. So that allows me to show up confidently and say, yes, I can help you to the folks that I believe I can help. So we'll come back to that in just a second. So that's number one, is understanding the transformation that you can provide, because when you have done it for yourself, and don't let anyone tell you that you, like, your own case study doesn't matter, or that doesn't count. It completely does. Are you not a person? It is harder to coach yourself than it is to coach someone else. We're resistant to ourselves. We side eye ourselves all the time. Like, I ain't listening to, like, our cave woman will be like, ma'am, right? So if you can actually there's a whole, so I'm like getting on a soapbox here, but there's a whole field of psychology that is related to behavior change, and like how do we motivate individuals to like change their own behavior. It is hard, just from like you internally saying I want to change and then actually achieving a transformation. That is challenging. That is hard. So if you were able to do that for yourself, that's huge. That is huge. Don't undervalue that. Don't let others undervalue that. That is amazing. And you can then package that into a coaching program to help someone else, right? Once you understand it. So that's number one. Number two, and we talk about this a lot, leaning into your story and the power of your story. So I talk all the time about how Jesus used parables in order to get his people to think differently, So it's not just about telling people what to do. We want to help people to think differently. That is the power of coaching. And I try to do that not just in my coaching sessions, but also during my like messaging and marketing. Like what I'm trying to do now for you guys, right? Is like lean into my story. So I'm going to share with you a quick version of my story because not everyone is familiar. So really, really quick, because many of you have heard it before, but raging procrastinator, imposter syndrome, felt like a failure every day, snoozed every day, just like hot mess, mom falling apart. Was pregnant, my mom got sick. She was in and out of the hospital until she passed away. After she died, it was devastating, completely devastating to me. I'm in my mom's living room, cleaning out her house after she passed away. I found a handwritten manuscript with her information on top, and then I looked at it and realized that she had written a book by hand, like I said, and never put it out into the world, never told anyone about it, and I lost it and just decided that day that I was going to walk in my purpose, decided that I wanted to start a business because my mom was very entrepreneurial, didn't know what to do, right, in terms of starting a business because they don't teach that in med school or college. Started like all sorts of different businesses, including one that sold hair bundles because just bananas. And then I started a blog, that was very inconsistent. Finally got consistent with my blog once I started sharing my story and helping people to overcome procrastination, turned that blog into a podcast, and then here we are. That's my story. Now, based on that story, that is how I draw my people in. And so I chat with a lot of women like in their DMs, and one of the like pervasive things that I'm told is that, Dr. Kimmy, I really don't want to be the face of my coaching business. And I will just say now, this is just, I'm giving you my opinion and based on what I've seen. If you don't want to be the face of your coaching business, you are going to have a very uphill battle in terms of actually making money in your business. because there's a coach on every corner nowadays, right? And that's actually a beautiful thing. I have an abundance mindset, so I'm like, let's all become coaches. It's all good, right? But the thing about that is, if you position yourself as being just like everyone else, right? Because there's nothing unique about you, and you're only talking about like, do this, do that, like only talking about like the strategy and not leaning into your story, then you become, again, like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy. Y'all know I like analogies. I don't really know. So like I'm picturing like a school of fish, right? It's like a school of fish. Like if I am like a fisherman and I see a school of fish, fisherwoman, excuse me, and I see a school of fish, I'm trying to decide what fish I want to collect. I'm gonna, or let's say I'm paying. I'm struggling with this analogy, y'all, so I apologize. I apologize. But if I see a school of fish, let's say someone's selling them, right? And I'm like, okay, which fish do I buy? They all look the same. I'm going to choose the cheapest one. So then it becomes like a race to the bottom for you as a coach, because you have to discount your services so much to say, hey, buy me, because there's no difference between you and anyone else. But if you show up and you're like, here's how I'm different, here's how I'm unique, here's how I stand apart. Like, the reason that I'm an amazing business coach is not only do I understand the strategy and the story selling aspect of it and do it really well, but I, to my knowledge, am the only business coach that I'm aware of that understands the procrastination that tends to happen when we get overwhelmed, and builds that into my programs. Like, when you join my program, you're not just going to learn business strategy and how to start a coaching business. You are going to learn the practical tools to not procrastinate, because I get how it is when we get overwhelmed and how we start shutting ourselves down, and how many of us have taken courses and programs and paid for services in the past and then never implemented. So that's why it's a part of my methodology, like literally a part of my methodology. And so that's what makes me different as a coach, right? It's my story, right? Because I understand that desire to want to walk in your purpose, but getting in your own way by procrastinating. And so I build that in, and I give that support to my people throughout the course of the program. So when I do that, right, then I can command a higher rate, because I am very specific about the value that I provide, and it's based on my story. And I'm not just now like every other fish in the pond, so that the person who is shopping for fish has to say, okay, they're all gray fish, give me the cheapest gray fish. It's like a sea of gray fish, and I am blush pink. That's, pink. Pink. So pink, the reason I love pink, y'all, and I am a Delta. So like, people are always just like, you're a Delta and you love pink. Yes, because my mom's favorite color was pink, and this business is in tribute to her. And so pink is like now my favorite color. Like, everything in my life is pink. Everything in my life is pink now. Oh, look, pink lipstick too. So yeah, so I'm the blush pink fish in the pond, right? So then you're like, oh, look at her, she's different. I like blush pink. Let me select her. And even if I cost $2 more than the gray fish, that's okay with you, because you like blush pink and you know what you like, right? But if I'm just like everyone else, then it's a race to the bottom. I need to discount my prices because I'm saying the same thing that everyone else is saying. So entry level, like right out the gate, like I have to be the cheapest one of all the gray fish, or else no one's going to choose me. Why choose me when you can choose someone else who has more experience. They're still a great fish, but they're more experienced. So you're going to go with that person. But more experience, meaning quote unquote more experience, quote unquote, they've been in the game longer, right? But I can right out the gate command higher rates because I'm blush pink and I'm different. And this is why, right? I add a value and I'm clear about the value and it's based on my story. So that's number 2. So number 1, we talked about understanding the transformation you can provide. Number 2, leaning into your story. And now I'm telling you why you have to lean into your story. I've told you several times to do that, but now I'm like letting you know why this is important and why it's important to develop that thought leadership, which is number 3, right? So again, you have to innovate. Now you innovate based on your story, and the specific transformation that you can provide. And then you want to make sure that you're clearly messaging that to your people. Because again, you don't want your people to be like, gray fish, there's another gray fish, give me the cheapest one. No, right? We blush pink fish. Okay, we are blush pink up in here, okay? Up in the Black Girl Coach Collective, up in the Pop Squad, right? So I'm just joking, y'all, but you get the point, right? So that is why, like last week when we spoke about becoming a thought leader and having your own unique voice and your own unique way that you show up and serve that's different than anyone else's way. This is why. And when you're able to do that, that is when you're able to say, hey, I'm starting a coaching business. This is how much I'm charging. And you can do that confidently. Now, I had started doing that before I had really even known that I'd be a coach. Like I had started doing that from like husband, wife, doctor life days. And I say things like, you can't do anything you put your mind to. You can mind anything you put your do to. And people are like, what? Right? And 98% of the people don't get it. And that's okay. But the 2% that do, they lean in and they want to learn more. Like, what is Dr. Kimmy saying? Like, I thought I could do anything I put my mind to. And I'm like, nope. You change your life, then you change your mindset, not the other way around. Like stuff like that. Affirmations don't work. Everyone out here is like affirmations, selling you and I'm just like, they don't work. Don't do them. In fact, they do more harm than good. People are like, what? What's she talking about? Right? But it piques your interest and you're like, whoa. And now I actually believe this, right? And it's based on my transformation, but there has to be some way that you've gotten from point A to point B that where you've bucked the trend or the system. It's gotta be, right? So think about those things and then start talking about them, start sharing them so that you are not just like every other gray fish in the pond. You're showing up in a different way, that really like draws in your people, right? So understand the transformation, specifically, lean into your story, and then become the thought leader. Innovate. And now I'm sharing with you why that's really important, especially since my whole job, my purpose is to help you walk in yours profitably, right? Like I want you guys to be able to command premium rates, right? As believers, as women of faith, and as Black women, I believe that's our birthright. And I believe that we not only can do that, we should do that. And that's my goal, is to help you to do that. Okay, so we talked about those 3 things. And then the last thing, this may be the most important one. this may be the most important one, is having conversations with your community. When I first started my business, before I was actually a business, because I didn't become a business owner. Well, I was a business owner, but I didn't become an entrepreneur until I made my first dollar. I made my first dollar in my business, and then it's like, okay, we're off to the races. But before I had started actually making money, I was much more focused on vanity metrics. And so things like Instagram followers and how many people are on my email list, which is not so much a vanity metric. That's actually, kind of something that relates to business growth. But even with the people on my email list, I wasn't necessarily having conversations with them. And I remember I had a business planner. I'm looking to see if I can find it. I think this is it. So I had this business planner. Yeah, this is it, right? This was my very first business planner. As you can see, it says husband, wife, doctor life. So this was like way back in the day, before I switched the name of my business to Productive on Purpose. But every single month, I would focus on how many, like my monthly goals, right? Were like consisted of things like get over 1,000 Instagram followers, go up by 10 in email subscribers, increase my Facebook page likes. Like these were like the stats I would track, and I would really focus on these. But I wasn't really having conversations with the people in my community. Like in the very beginning, I wasn't having conversations. Sorry guys, that is loud. Let me see if, hold on guys, 1 second. Okay. So I wasn't focused on having conversations. It was just like, oh, my Instagram followers went up. Hey, right? And I'm like feeling myself. And it's like, and it didn't matter who was following me. I was just like, Instagram followers, check, right? Rather than focusing on conversations. Once I shifted and started speaking with the ladies in my community, I'll never forget. It was like March. It was probably around this same time last year. I not only started having DM conversations, I started like offering to hop on Zoom calls just to chat, just to understand what their desires were, what their goals were, what their struggles were, their pain points, like who they are, where they're from, like all of those things. And when I tell you, once I started talking to my people, that's when things changed. That's when the game shifted for me. Because now, number one, what it did was it allowed me to understand their language even more. Now, I speak their language, and it's funny, like so many people in my podcast community, they'll text me or message me and be like, Dr. Kimmy, I feel like you're like in my house. Why are you all up in my business, right? Because I share my experiences and what I struggle with in terms of like procrastination and walking in purpose, and it resonates, right? And a lot of that is because I have conversations with my community. Part of it is because I've been through it, because I am the person that I serve. But also, it was really important to me to like understand their messaging, right? Like, how are they saying these things? What are the words that they're using? Because marketing is just messaging. And if I know that I can help people and I can serve them, then it's my highest like responsibility to kind of get the message out and say, hey, I can help you in this way. And if I understand their language and I can speak their language to them, then that's what marketing is. That's all it is. And so all I do is just speak the message of my community. I speak the language of my community. That's it. There's nothing like extra special. I speak their language. I speak their language. And so here's why this is really important. And I'm giving you guys something that this is something I've come up with that I actually teach inside of my programs. And so you guys are getting an extra special treat because I normally only teach this to my clients and students. And so if you are a former client or current client and student, then this is going to be familiar to you. But imagine you're an entrepreneur and you're selling ice, and you're selling ice in a park on a hot day. It is hot. Okay, so you have your ice stand set up and it says ice for sale, and you're like ready to go. And you're like walking around looking, and you see like 3 types of people in the park. You see 3 types of people in the park, right? So number 1, you see a group of people who are walking around with cups of cold lemonade. They don't have ice in it, but the lemonade is cold. Okay, it's already cold. Then you see a second group of people. They're walking around, but their lemonade is warm. So imagine they have warm lemonade in a hot park on a hot day. Doesn't sound appealing, right? But that's who you see. And then the third group of people that you see is you see people selling warm lemonade. Selling. So first you saw people with cold lemonade, then you saw people with warm lemonade, and then you saw like lemonade stands, like people who were selling warm lemonade. The desires, the pain points, the barriers, and the objections for each one of these people are going to be completely different, right? So if someone is selling if someone's walking around with cold lemonade, the way you speak to them is going to be completely different than you speak to the warm lemonade seller who has like an urgent pain point, an urgent desire to get some ice, right? Because he's trying to sell warm lemonade on a hot day. He needs your ice, right? Granted, all of them could use your ice, but the way you speak to someone who has a cup of cold lemonade already and someone who's selling warm lemonade is completely different. Now, when you know exactly the transformation you can provide, right? And you're able to lean into your story and you show up as that thought leader, then you understand how to craft messaging for each one of those groups. And you start to understand, and you do that through you could start having conversations. Have conversations with the warm lemonade seller. You have conversations with the people with the cold lemonade, and then you start using their words in your messaging and in your marketing, because that's all marketing is. And so that is how I have been able to, from the beginning, get women into my programs, because I'm speaking their language. And that first step to being able to do that is to start having conversations with the people in your community. Now, that also requires that you know exactly who you're supposed to serve. Now, when we start off as entrepreneurs, we inevitably want to serve everyone because we're like, I can help everyone. I don't want to exclude anyone. And I completely get that. Y'all heard my story. I did the same exact thing. But it's actually much more important that you specifically know who you can serve, because if you try to talk to everyone, you end up talking to no one. If you try to serve everyone, you end up serving no one. So it's really, really important that you get, really clear on who you are speaking to. And then once you start having conversations and once you start showing up to sell, if the folks that are coming to you are not that specific person that you know can achieve the transformation that you're able to walk them through, then you are out of integrity and out of alignment if you sell to them just for the sake of getting a sale, right? Like, that's not in alignment. That's not in integrity. It just isn't. And then also, it perpetuates that scarcity, right? Like, we're just going to sell this to anyone because if you're a warm body with money, here, right? But it's more about who you know you can serve. I am very clear on the type of person I can serve and the type of business that person should have for me to be able to help them, right? Get to that point B. And so, it's not like rejecting, right? It's being in alignment, and it's being honest and walking in integrity for me to say, I don't think I can help you because I don't think my program is the right program for you, or I don't think you are the right person for my program. Let me help you take your next steps by referring you to someone else. And I do that all the time. I have referred clients that come to me to other coaches if I don't believe that I can fully help them achieve that transformation. And so, again, that, like, when you know exactly who you're supposed to be serving and you start having conversations with them, that allows you to gain that confidence of, like, yes, I can do this. I am supposed to serve these people. And it's not about focusing on the vanity metrics as much as it is focusing on conversations with your community. So I hope that was helpful. So those were the four ways that you can become confident, especially as a new coach, or even as a coach who's been coaching, but you're at the point where you're like, I need to raise my rates. I need to actually, like, make a profit from my coaching business. This is how you can get that confidence to be able to do that. So understand the transformation, lean into your story, innovate, become a thought leader, and then start having conversations. Start having conversations with your community. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. If you're watching on the replay, just hit #replay. And again, I want to just thank you guys for being a part of this community. This is your community. Definitely leave any comments on here or questions, and I'll come back and I'll answer them a little bit later. And if you are interested in doing this, right, and learning my exact strategies so that you can start walking in your purpose as a coach, and if you'd like guidance to help with your development of your coaching program so you can package your offer, position yourself, and then do my purposeful story selling launch so you can leverage your story to sell your coaching program and show up in excellence, not perfection, every single time, then I want to invite you to apply to my program, Purpose to Profit Elite. We start on March 17th. I'm super excited for all the women that have signed up so far. It is going to be absolutely amazing. It's a 12-week program with live group coaching. We have mastermind sessions as well. You'll get access to all of the curriculum for the 12. Actually, you'll have access to the curriculum really forever. But you get access to me live in a small group coaching environment each week. And then also you'll get one-on-one support. So you do get one-on-one call with me so that we can really, really get strategic on your exact goals and your exact methodology, like helping you to really flesh out your framework, and we really dig into it. And then after the program is over, you get an additional 2 months of implementation support with me. So the coaching continues, and we do it over Voxer. I check in, I review your work, I give you feedback for an additional 2 months. So it's a 5-month program. We have a client-only Facebook group. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. This is the last time I am running this cycle of the program as it currently stands. I'm making some changes in my business. And so I really wanted to offer this to you guys to, if you are feeling that burning desire, if you feel like God is calling you to do this right now, then let's do this. Just go to productivepurpose.com/apply. And I hope to see you guys inside of Purpose to Profit if the program is right for you and if you are right for the program. So it's a two-way street. All right, y'all. I will see you guys a little bit later. I'll check back in to answer any questions and respond to your comments. Peace and love.